Let's get right to our next guest, Shana Sissel, President and CEO of Banríon Capital Management, joining us from Chicago via this Zoom thing. Shana, thanks so much for joining us here. I mean, I guess the story of the day this morning is Nvidia, another beat and raise, as the kids say. What did you take away from the earnings last night?
It wasn't the earnings that I was most surprised by. I think we all expected them to beat. It was somewhat built into the stock price. Aftermarket, it didn't move that much. Obviously now it is. But I think that the thing that shocked me most was the 10-for-1 stock split announcement. That surprised me. Not because it's not unusual for a company to want to split in a way that would make their stock price under $100 again and make them more attractive to retail investors, make it easier for their employees to take advantage of their stock compensation and a variety of other reasons. But in the world of fractional shares, it's not as necessary, which is why we see so many stocks trading at, $500, $600, $700, $8,000. I mean, Chipotle is like over $3,000. So that actually surprised me the most. But the earnings weren't particularly surprising. Obviously, it was above consensus estimates, but there was a whisper number, and the numbers that they reported were close to that whisper number. And so, I think the real problem here is how long they keep doing this. This is the third straight quarter that they've reported greater than 200% year-over-year revenue growth.
Yeah, and I feel like we've been asking that question for the third straight quarter, too, so you're not alone. I was really struck by a note that came out today. Man, it's time for spring break. NVIDIA's done. We got nothing going on until June 7th, which is Jobs Day. It is time for spring break. Do you subscribe to that view?
I don't. I'm always following the markets. There's always interesting things going on. Obviously, as you said, the next big report is in June, but there's opportunities for here to take a breather. But I think this is a great opportunity to start looking for new opportunities to get into stocks as people are taking a breather. And so I use this time to kind of do my work and figure out what my best ideas are going to be going forward.
Shana, do your best ideas include small cap stocks?
So right now, small caps have some technical issues. They have, I think they're in the third longest streak of not reaching a new high. And they have really struggled to get out of the funk that they're in, which is unusual in many ways. And it might be a reflection of some change in market dynamics, especially the concentration in the large caps that Mag 7 kind of feel and what's driving it. But small caps are interesting because if you look at the data, it's the actively managed and the factor-based small cap types of ETFs and mutual funds that are outperforming, and substantially so. So this whole idea that active management is dead and that you don't need active management in your portfolio in order to do well, I think needs to be reconsidered, because in a place like small caps where there's a lot of inefficiencies and opportunities for smart money and those who are actually doing work on individual names to outperform, I think that, we should reconsider ways that we build portfolios, and active management right now is really working in the small cap space.
So where in the small cap space is it sector specific? Is it balance sheet specific? Is it a growth value kind of thing?
It's more factor based. So like quality, but even it has to be even higher quality, because the active managers are beating the S&P 600, which tends to be higher in quality than the Russell 2000, which tends to be full of a lot of like junk and penny stocks and things of that nature. So we're seeing that in active management. We're seeing it in the quality factor. You're seeing it in the momentum factor. But you're seeing it more in the factors than in like growth value and more than style per se.
Hey, Shana, what are you guys doing in fixed income? I mean, I can sit in a 2-year treasury and get close to 5% here with no risk. Do I sit there, or do I go out on the credit curve a little bit?
So we, being focused on alternatives, we're looking more at the private credit and private debt markets, some interesting opportunities in real estate income. And with the advent of interval funds, it allows us the opportunity to gain exposure to those types of credits, even for clients that aren't qualified or accredited. There's a Pender Capital has a real estate debt fund that is an interval fund that allows for the average investor to gain exposure to an area in private credit that was not traditionally available to that space. And there's others like that. So for us, that's kind of where we're playing, because that's where the real opportunity lies. Rates are kind of volatile right now. And as you said, you can get really good yield in treasuries, but we're seeing a lot of demand in the non-traditional credit markets and the non-bank lenders, because the credit markets after the financial crisis kind of seized up for a lot of potential businesses, small business and such. So the private debt markets have real opportunity to get above average yield with relatively good credit.
Quickly before we let you go, when you look at alternatives like that also include like gold, and I say that because gold has been on a tear. Like, is that part of the portfolio?
Oh, absolutely. Commodities are part of the portfolio. Gold and copper are really interesting right now. Gold hit all-time highs yesterday. I would also put crypto in that space. So Bitcoin, and there's a lot of chatter right now about the probabilities of the spot ETH ETF being approved this week or next week. I know your colleague Eric Balkunas has been writing a lot about it. So it's one of those things where crypto is also quite interesting right here. But yeah, those are all alternatives, and those are all things we consider for portfolios.
All right. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. Thank you for jumping on with us. Shana Sissel joining us, President and CEO of Banríon Capital Management.